I don't know if you know this, but video games used to be absolutely brutal. Not because developers hated kids, although judging by some of these games, I ain't entirely ruling it out. See, back in the day, games had a problem. Storage was limited, technology was limited, and games were expensive. So developers had to figure out a way to make a game that could be finished in 3 hours somehow last a few weeks. Their solution?
Make it too hard for your tiny child brain to complete.
The longer it took you to beat the game, the more value you felt you got from your purchase. Which is why old games like Castlevania, platformers, arcade games, and basically anything released during that era seemed determined to personally ruin your afternoon. But today, gaming's completely different. Games are bigger, longer, more cinematic, more accessible. And that raises a question that gamers have been arguing about for years. Should difficult games have an easy mode? And the funny thing is, this argument didn't really exist when gaming was a niche hobby, because everybody playing games was already, well, a gamer. You learned the language of video games. You knew what a boss fight was. You knew what a checkpoint was. You knew dying 50 times was just a Tuesday. But then gaming exploded. Nowadays, everybody's playing games. Your friends play games, your dad plays games. I'm even willing to bet your little granny plays some games, even when you ain't looking. Gaming went mainstream, but something interesting happened. The barrier to entry didn't always move with it. And what I don't think everyone realizes is, not everybody plays games for the same reason. Yeah, some people want a challenge, others want stories, and then other people want to spend 6 hours decorating a virtual cottage and befriending a talking turnip. And honestly, good for them. If that's what they like, that's what they like. You can't stop them. Games come in all shapes and sizes, which is why the easy mode debate gets messy, because people aren't even talking about the same experience. A person playing a cozy farming simulator and a person spending 6 hours fighting the same Souls boss are looking for completely different experiences. And this is where I think the strongest argument appears. Creator intent, because at the end of the day, it's their game, not ours. If the developer wants to make an incredibly difficult experience, that's their right. The challenge might literally be the point of the game. The frustration, the learning, the improvement, the eventual victory. That might be the entire experience they're trying to create. Imagine someone making a horror film and then being told it needs a version where nothing scary happens. At some point you're changing the product itself, not improving it, just changing. If a developer says, this game is meant to be difficult, then honestly, that's a completely fair creative decision. Players can either rise to the challenge or decide that game simply is not for them. And that's okay. By the way, I'm sorry if you can hear an ambulance in the background. I've been trying to record this for about 3 minutes and it won't go away. With that being said, you might think that's where I end up on this side of the argument. But the other side ain't crazy either, because not everyone has the same amount of time to play games. When I was younger, I could spend the entire weekend fighting the same boss until one of us gave up. Usually, it was the boss because I'm absolutely cracked at video games. But today, people have jobs, families, responsibilities, limited free time. I know some of you don't know what that is, but that's the case. Some players don't want to spend 20 hours mastering a boss. They want to experience the world, meet the characters, and enjoy the story. And there is a legit argument that if somebody paid for the game, why shouldn't they be allowed to experience it in a way that works for them? This is where the gaming community usually start throwing chairs at each other, because you've got one group who genuinely love difficult games and want to rise to the challenge over and over again. And honestly, I get it. I think I'm part of that same camp. There's a unique satisfaction that comes from overcoming something that seems impossible. Every gamer has that moment, that boss, that mission, that challenge that absolutely destroyed them until suddenly it did not. And for 5 glorious minutes, you feel like you are the greatest gamer who ever lived, until you leave the room and die to the very next thing. Personally, I think the answer depends entirely on the creator's intent. If a developer wants their game to be brutally difficult, then let it be brutally difficult. That's the experience they wanted to create. Not every game needs to appeal to everybody, despite some people's opinion on that matter. At the same time, if a developer wants to add an easy mode so more people can experience the world and story, I don't see a problem with that either, because ultimately it's still their game, their decision, and their vision. The only thing I would add, if that's a thing, is reward the players who take on the bigger challenge, special weapons, trophies, exclusive cosmetics, achievements. If somebody beats the game on the hardest difficulty, give them something, some kind of recognition, not because they're like better people, calm down, but because they completed an additional challenge. But you need to understand that not everyone sees it that way. You have players who don't see challenges as the reward. The story is the reward. The exploration is the reward. The world is the reward. And they don't understand why some people see. So, TLDW, should difficult games have an easy mode? Sometimes not. The real answer isn't what players want, it's what the developer wants, because it's their game. Because games are art, and art doesn't need to be for everyone. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a boss fight that's already killed me 14 times, and judging by my track record, it's about to be 15.